good. And at the end of the day, I liked this clip. I thought this was great. This is from PsyOp Anime, and it pretty much sums up everything that I saw in the State of the Union address. I mean, it wasn't the perfect State of the Union address, but somebody made an anime film, and it ended up going pretty viral, covering, again, everything that essentially happened. I thought it was great. Nice way to start the show, I felt. And ultimately, that's how it is. You know, ultimately, America has an opportunity to really, truly have a golden age, not just the psyop of a golden age, but a real golden age, right? And so, but that's the psyop, right? And maybe that's why that's what this was all about. Okay, so again, we already went over J.D. Vance's statement and on Iran. Again, this is from Mario Nawfal. This is not a CIA posting you see every day. They just posted a new Farsi language instructions on X, Instagram, Facebook, Telegram, and YouTube, guiding Iranians on how to safely contact the agency using VPNs and disposable devices. Crazy to see how espionage is digital and out in the open. Yes, it is. And that article is from Reuters. Again, this is another statement from Frontline's TPUSA. This has been circulating across X. This was posted only 16 minutes ago. Education and Nation. Education Secretary Linda McMahon shares her views on President Trump's State of the Union address, provides an update on her 50-state tour and trade school progress, and offers her thoughts on the public school walkouts protesting ICE across our country, which I definitely don't agree with. But what do you guys think?
Speech. It was very forward-looking.
We're here with Education Secretary Linda McMahon. Thank you so much for being here with us with Frontline's Turning Point USA. We always appreciate your time. Now, you were there front and center at President Trump's State of the Union on Tuesday night. Walk us through the mood on the ground, just the overall feelings that you were, really experiencing there in the chamber floor.
Well, I can tell you being there personally is just so great.
Again, I got to say, I mean, my thoughts on the State of the Union were it could have been better, right? It could have been better. And honest to God, I wanted to hear that we were not going to go to war with Iran. But I honestly knew that that's what the State of the Union address was going to be about. I knew that it was going to be more primed towards that patriotic 2016 kind of State of the Union address. And so with all these things happening, it's no surprise that the Trump movement and all of these things, it's coming into fruition, And depending on whether or not you agree, it appears to me that, Trump is still surrounded by sharks. And again, maybe he's not perfect himself, but I was thinking about it last night during the State of the Union and just how lucky we are to actually have Trump and how I would definitely not want to have any of those Democrats who are sitting down the entire time backing me in my country. I don't even know how they're allowed to serve in Congress, right? But let's continue listening to this.
The energy in the room, the excitement in the room, I thought the president delivered an incredibly wonderful speech. It was very forward-looking. It was very optimistic. He certainly touted his accomplishments over the year, which rightfully he should have, to remind everyone all of the things that have been accomplished in this first year of this second term. So I was very pleased to see all of that. I was disappointed at sometimes that the Democrats wouldn't stand for things that would seemingly that they would stand for, but they did stand for more than they did in the last speech that he gave.
It's so immature for Democrats or Republicans to sit down for the opposing party because it makes the country look weak as a whole. And the sad thing is that the Democrats and even the Republicans, and to some degree, really don't care about those optics and how important it is to actually have a unified country.
Dave, it's really hard to sit on your hands when you see these wonderful people, that are in the gallery, but they still didn't stand for them all. So I would like to see a little more. That's just human dignity and kindness, I think, that they didn't show.
Sure, and what we heard last night from the president really appeared to be a glimmer of hope for the American people, and what's also a glimmer of hope is the work that you're doing as well when it comes to dissolving the Department of Education. You're on this 50-state tour across the entire country, going to these schools and visiting, these different departments out throughout the entire country. Walk us through a little bit of what you're seeing right now in this moment in time.
Again, if you're popping in, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to spread the value, spread the information.
Well, what's so interesting to me, and the reason I'm doing this 50-state tour, is to go to all different kinds of schools. I've been to micro schools, religious schools, charter schools, public schools, magnet schools, and just, all in different areas of the country, because there is no one size that fits all for education. So what I want
And
to do
again,
at the
she
end of
goes on
that
to pretty
time
much
is to
talk about how
compile
Trump's State of the Union address was one of the best ones that was ever given, and yada yada, So ultimately, I didn't think it was the perfect State of the Union address. I would have liked to hear that we are not going to war with Iran. Okay, that's the number one pressing issue in America right now. If you care about politics, if you care about your country, then we need to be resisting a war with Iran. It doesn't benefit us to be at war with Iran. Okay. So Laura Powell posted on their website in 2022, Shurla bragged about having the power to influence how tax dollars are spent, specifically citing their advocacy to obtain more funding for Los Angeles Unified. The LAUSD gave Shurla a grant a few years ago. Shurla has programs to teach in high school to teach high school students to be activists. They also hire these students to work on outreach to help immigrants be counted in the census. Again, so how wrong is that we have illegal immigrants and undocumented immigrants that are now going to be counted as a part of the U.S. Census? This should be concerning to people. This should be a problem to the average American, because it disenfranchises you. It disenfranchises you financially and in so many ways. Again, this is fraud. This is the Minneapolis situation that was happening with all of the fraud. Okay, so if you look through this entire article, it really talks all about it. Again, take a look at this when you get a chance. Pause the video, watch it. On April 14th, Shurla joined education advocates across LA and submitted a letter supporting Senator Anthony Portantino's SB 830, which reforms supplemental funding formulas and ensures better funding for Title I schools that serve low-income families. The bill would still require schools to enact a robust plan to address chronic absenteeism. The new funding formulas could redirect funding to school districts like LAUSD, which have served high numbers of immigrants, working class, and families of color. Again, here's just some of the charts, the data on that. So again, this is America being replaced. This is America becoming a minority in their own country. This is how it works. It's all by legislation. It's all by the laws. Okay, once you understand this, you understand kind of, how the matrix actually operates. So I also wanted to comment on this video. Fox News report, Cuba's government says their forces shot and killed 4 people after an American speedboat approached their shores. Rubio made a statement on it. We're going to go to that video right after this one. But let's take a look at this. I wanted to hear more about this story. This came up right before I popped up on live. So 34 minutes ago, this was posted. Let's take a look.
His State of the Union speech on record. Good evening, I'm Bill Malugin, and this is your Fox News report. Cuba's government says their forces shot and killed 4 people after an American speedboat approached their shores. They claim the people on that boat shot first and injured a Cuban commander. But Florida's Attorney General says the Cuban government cannot be trusted. The White House says they're monitoring it. After the longest State of the
Looks like we're taking Cuba.
President Trump is back.
Looks like Cuba is on the list.
American F-22 stealth fighter jets are in Israel as the U.S. and Iran prep for their 3rd round of nuclear talks in Geneva. The president says his goal is diplomacy, but will never allow a nuclear
Look at this.
Iran.
So this is where the aircraft carriers are located. All of the U.S. aircraft carriers. To me, this looks like a complete ambush. I just see this complete. This is going to be a complete bloodbath for the United States. This is the Strait of Hormuz. This is what we're really fighting over, because this is the trade route where everything pretty much comes and goes. So Israel, if we end up securing Iran, this Iran problem for Israel, the issue here is that Israel will then be the central point of the entire Middle East. It will be the middleman of the Silk Road, so to speak. And they will basically become a second superpower, maybe even the greatest superpower. They will become the most demanded channel for trade. So they will be an instant middleman, immediate protection, and ultimately they will take a lot of that power that we have away from this area. So what happens, when there's no Israeli fighters fighting Iran, but it's all U.S. soldiers fighting Iran? Again, just like Afghanistan, just like Iran, just like Iraq, and we're going to see the same thing happen. So this is why we cannot allow a war with Iran to happen. If we go to war with Iran, and if J.D. Vance persists in sounding just like Prime Minister Netanyahu, then we will end up falling as a country, guaranteed, because a nation loses its power by war, if you didn't already know this. And so it's one of the most dangerous things for America to be involved in this war. So let's keep going with this.
This as the Pentagon stacks the Middle East with a U.S. military presence not seen in 20 years. And from one negotiation to another, President Trump and Ukrainian President Zelensky on the phone today, ahead of the next round of talks between the U.S., Ukraine, and Russia. Zelensky telling Fox he wants a deal, just not the one Russia's offering.
Believe me, not everybody
He does not want a deal. He wants to keep making that money, raking in that cash.
is ready, that we are ready to eat what Putin cooked for us.
And the partial government shutdown now
such
in
a
its
crook.
12th day. Lawmakers still at odds over a bill to fund the Department of Homeland Security. Senate Democrats are holding out for changes to ICE funding, TSA, FEMA, Coast Guard, and Secret Service.
Like, the Democrats literally want America to die. Like, the Republicans, here's the thing. The difference between Republicans and Democrats is this. Republicans, they may be Shylocks, right? The Republicans may be really cheeky with their money. They may not want to, they're going to screw you over, and they're pretty much not going to tell you about it, right? They're going to be fake about it. They're going to tell you what you want to hear and then stab you in the back. That's kind of how Republicans roll. They're cheap, they love money, and they're going to pretty much rake it all up while the middle class suffers. That's kind of what the Republican Party is known for. The Democratic Party is known for essentially right out in front of your face, well, communism, Marxism, Leninism. And ultimately, they want to crush America. They really don't love this country. They don't really honor the United States. And you see it with this kind of stuff. In what ways does it benefit America to defund the Secret Service, to defund the United States Coast Guard, to defund the TSA, to defund FEMA, to defund ICE? It makes absolutely no sense. And it's actually a low IQ thing to even consider and to even debate. But we all have to in 2026.
All set to start missing paychecks on Friday. Fox is on top of all your day's news. Be sure to keep it right here in Washington. I'm Bill Malugin. Have a great night.
Like, you go out there, you risk your life for your country, whatever it is, FEMA, you're working for the government, and you just get totally screwed. Imagine that. Imagine that. Editorial published by Office of Imam Khamenei, Fortified Foundations at the Border Shield. In previous Eddy issues, discussed focused on comprehensive plan powered by Iran for managing possible future regional war. It was emphasized that although Iran's overall strategy has, I guess that's it. That's all there is to it. That's all she wrote. Okay, moving on. This was Senator Marco Rubio, or Secretary of State Marco Rubio, and his response to the reports that the Cuban border guard fired on a U.S. boat, killing and injuring passengers. He quoted, "We're going to find out exactly what happened here, and then we will respond accordingly."
Providing both the public and so this morning we were made aware by Cuban authorities of an incident off the coast of Cuba. We immediately began to look into it. As it stands now, the Department of Homeland Security, the Coast Guard, others are involved. The majority of the information we still possess is what Cuban authorities are providing both the public and the U.S. government. We have our embassy on the ground in Havana working this as we speak, asking for access to the people that were on those vessels, if they were American citizens or permanent residents. According to the Cuban regime, the boat was registered.
A lot of people think that Marco Rubio may just be the next president. I think that that's very likely to happen, just because Marco Rubio, he's been trying to be the president. He's been trying to be the king a very long time now. So I wouldn't be surprised if they ended up making him the president in 2028.
Florida.
If it's not going to be J.D. Vance, which I don't think it'll be J.D. Vance, because I don't think he's getting the popularity required in order to win. But we'll see what happens. With Peter Thiel's power and with what that money is able to do, they'd probably still be able to get J.D. Vance. But we will see.
Tracking that down. We will know shortly, and we will know quickly, many more facts about this incident than we know right now. The majority of the
Sorry,
facts
this video's all shitty because for some reason the video's just not rendering.
well quickly, many more facts about this incident than we know right now. The majority of the facts.
We're just going to move on because that's just not playing well. So Minnesota Senator Michael Holmstrom just read from a book available to kids in schools called This Book is Gay. The Democrat chair tells him to stop reading because it isn't appropriate. So not okay for a room of adults, but totally cool for 12-year-old kids.
Have it in stock on their...
So again, this is a huge problem. So what is with, society allowing there to be books on transgenderism? They argue the freedom of speech. They say, well, it's freedom of speech. We can publish this kind of material if we want. It's freedom of speech, right? The Larry Flint argument. Freedom of speech, freedom of press. But here's the thing. How is that helpful for a society or a country when it's degrading society? It's debauchery. It doesn't help society. It's evil to manipulate the minds of the youth into believing such nonsense that there are more than two genders, that it's okay to not be with a woman, right? To be homosexual. That's not okay. It isn't okay. It's not a natural order of things. It's not the natural way of the world. And that's not what anybody should really support. Okay, so when we have books in schools that are telling kids and encouraging kids to become transgenders and to change who they are and to become a totally different person, this is just so wrong. This is so evil. And so we need more people stepping up to the plate and speaking just like this man right here, Senator Michael Holmstrom.
To that age-appropriate question and to what we want to invest in for our culture, I guess I look at some of the books that we're seeing commonly implemented in our libraries. We see, I actually went this morning and found This Book is Gay from some of our local libraries. Many of the libraries that testified here today do have it in stock on their shelves, recommended in the teen section as young as 12 years old. And this book, among other things, it recommends to young children how to flirt in gay bars. It recommends to children how to enter into
so disgusting
non-consensual sexual relationships. And I'll read.
Imagine your kid going to public school and you believe that they're going to get an education. They're going to learn about the stars, the stripes, the entire story of America, all of it. You think that they're going to learn these things. You think that they're going to learn calculus. You think that they're going to learn about real estate, how to start a business, how to own a business. You anticipate that when you send your kids to school, they're learning how to do all of these things that the elites know how to do. But instead, they're learning how to become gay. They're learning how to become transgenders. They're learning how to sufficiently hate America. And it's so wrong, and it's just so bad on so many levels.
Here, oral sex is popping another dude's peen in your mouth.
Again, he's reading what is inside of the book. So if anybody's listening to this, we are replaying what Senator Michael Holmstrom is reading from their own school, what they're allowing to be in their own library. So I'm going to rewind a little bit because it is graphic, warning, but what he's saying is so important because like this is what is in your children's libraries today at school. So evil.
Recommends to children how to enter into non-consensual sexual relationships. And I'll read here. Oral sex is popping another dude's peen in your mouth or intending or indeed popping yours and his. There's only one way. Hard and fast rule when it comes to blowjobs. Watch the teeth. And then it goes on to say that
it's so graphic. I have to talk over it.
Letting any guy come in your mouth is safe sex. No.
Madam Chair, thank you.
Oh, this isn't appropriate for this committee?
We don't need.
Yeah, so everything he just said, I had to talk over it because that's how bad it was. That's how bad it was. Like literally, I wouldn't even be allowed to play that video because he was just reading from what's inside of the book. You could have heard it if you rewind what I said. You could, if you rewind this video, you can probably hear him a little bit. But I literally have to talk over this video because if I were to let you hear what he said just now, then I would get banned from YouTube. Then my video would be taken down because of how inappropriate that book is. Obviously, for obvious reasons, but that book is in your children's library. Think about that. You send your 10-year-old to school, they pick up a book off the shelf, and that's what they pick up. Everything that you just heard.
To read items that actually, it's not the things that you're reading that are inappropriate.
Okay.
You got your clippable moment.
Yeah, right.
Maybe we can just move on.
It just seems absurd that this is appropriate for a 12-year-old, but not for the senators in this committee. But I will take it.
I love that he did this. What a hero. That's a hero right there. More people need to exploit this issue of allowing these kind of books and all that crap to be in our kids' schools. Okay, so this was Jasmine Crockett's newest campaign pitch. I bailed out and supported BLM rioters who burned down our country and assaulted cops out of prison. I wonder what Texans think of this. And this was from the Libs of TikTok account. Let's look at this video.
Runoff. We were in the midst of George Floyd.
And of course, the video won't play.
No, it was that one. There was a runoff because I was number 2. I wasn't number 1. I made it to the runoff, and then they ended up killing George Floyd. People told me I had to go and get on the phones because we just didn't have the money. And I said, I can't do that. I gotta go do what I know is best
She's doing the Erica Kirk crocodile tears.
I'm not going to be insensitive and ask for money. Instead, I'm going to do what I've always done. I'm going to stand with the people as they take to the streets. There were 600 protesters arrested in Dallas County. Actually, more than that.
Inciting riots.
That we represented pro bono. No one ended up with a conviction. We just did what we wanted to do, which was to help the people.
Yes, we defend criminals. We allow them to reign. We allow the criminals to win. We allow churches to be burned down. That is what we do. We're the BLM. We're the Black Lives Matter movement. We are a communist organization funded by George Soros. We are heavily supported and promoted by the ADL, and we are here to destroy you, America, and all of your ways of life and all of your customs. And then we're going to make sure that we obviously defend all of the criminals that burn down those churches. We're going to make sure that they don't get convictions, and that's going to be our advertisement to get more people signed up. So what do you think? Are you going to sign up? Seriously. Like, look at it. This is just where our country's at. What should we do about Americans who hate America? Is it fair to call those Americans if they hate America, if they hate this country? I think not. I think these people should be sent to Alcatraz. These people should be sent out of this country. That's what I think. So again, this is a video from Tommy Robinson. 20 to 30% of men in that town were raping our children. This is a quote from him that I just read. Holy crap, controversial UK journalist Tommy Robinson is touring and going viral across America right now, featuring on some of the most viewed news and social media, discussing some of the most graphic, heinous evil ever to happen in Britain. This is from the Concerned Citizen account on Twitter X. And again, this is a video of Tommy Robinson talking about the Islamic invasion that is happening. And again, a lot of people are very, there's a lot of mixed reviews on Tommy Robinson, the guy who's talking in this video on the screen that you see, because Tommy Robinson has a lot of ties to the state of Israel. And we understand that the state of Israel believes in the clergy plan, the Great Replacement, and all of these strategies of getting rid of the white Europeans, the white Christians, and they want to do this through mass migration and changing the demographics of a society. And overall, they believe that they will rule over this society, the Jewish people. This is the Zionist vision. This is in the Jewish Encyclopedia. You can cite me on everything I'm saying. So this is why Tommy Robinson, who is Jewish, has all these mixed reviews, but everything he's been saying has been true. Okay, what you're seeing happening in the UK is a real conquest. It is a real conquest of the British people. And it is absolutely the occupation of a people. That's what it looks like. Okay, so let's take a look at what he had to say here and some of his statements.
Identified 260, so that's 26. Another inquiry into Telford by a law firm identified over 300. So 20 to 30% of the men in that town were raping our children. And 1,000 children were raped out of a 1.7% Muslim population. So the only two towns we really have the figures for is Rotherham, with 3.7% Muslim population, and Telford. Now this has all come blowing up after the demand for an inquiry.
This is so inappropriate, by the way. I mean, this is just not okay. I don't care about freedom of religion. This is not freedom of religion. This is the attempt to conquer a nation. This is spitting in the faces of Christians. This is stomping on the Christian religion. This is inherently an outright disrespect to the Christian religion. Trying to, this is an occupation. This is what it looks like. They are preying on the land of Christians, and they are doing it, and they are going to change the religion, and they are going to impose jihad. This is the belief of the Muslim, the Islamic Muslim, and what they believe for the United Kingdom right now. These are all military men. I see no women who ever come in these droves of illegal immigrants that come to these countries, whether it's the UK, Germany, Scotland, Ireland, whether it's Spain, whether it's the United States. It's always military-aged men who look like they came right out of ISIS training, right out of the Taliban. And so these are the people who are conquering our cities, our states, and all of these things. So this is the facts. I mean, when you look at this, and again, I'm definitely not a fan of Tommy Robinson either, but he's right about the things he's saying here.
In Oldham has a 33% Muslim population. My town has a 50% Muslim population, where I've been born. When I was born in 1982, there was one mosque, there's now 45. Now, some of the crimes, and this is
Birmingham, right?
Luton. No,
Luton.
But Birmingham's the same figures as well.
Similar, right.
But when you read out that, do you know there was a young girl who was 11 years old, and they got a hot iron rod, and they heated up.
Britain is no longer Britain. Like, all of the white countries are just no longer white, and everybody's okay with that. And I think it's very sad because there is a root, there is an ancestral root to these homelands, and everybody has their own nation states. And when you look at that, you're seeing the complete replacement of a people. And again, I think that this is all clearly and obviously the clergy plan. This is the doing of the Zionist Jewish people, the Orthodox Jews, Hasidic Jews, and those who believe in the Zionist state, the Zionist vision. I don't believe all Jews believe this. I believe that there are a sect of Jews who do believe that this is the overall agenda. This is the vision of God according to their biblical interpretation, according to what their rabbis believe. And they, the Jewish people have said that they believe that the Muslims are a broomstick to the West. And that is a real quote. And so it's very sad. I don't understand why we need to have this contention with the state of Israel. I mean, God, if it wasn't for us, if it wasn't for America, there would be no state of Israel, right? I mean, honestly, like there would be no chance really for Israel to exist without the United States. And so that's like my only thing. It's like, where's the reciprocation? Where's the respect, right? And then, so that's kind of why all of this entire invasion, I believe, is happening. I believe that this entire thing is happening because, again, this is the Great Replacement, the clergy plan. Google it, look it up, Twitter X it, you can look it up. We'll look more into it. We'll do another research. We'll do another deep dive on that subject individually on another day.
And it had the letter M, and they heated it up and they scolded her bum because she was the property of Muhammad. They took another girl and they took her out and they nailed her tongue to a table. They took them out and poured petrol over them. They tortured these girls.
Now, it's hard for me to believe anything Tommy Robinson says because, he is Jewish. So I find it hard to believe. And he said he's a proud Zionist, not just like Jewish. I'm not against like all the Jewish people. What I'm against is the Zionists. And I do believe that Tommy Robinson he's an admitted Zionist. So he's on the side of the Islamic people who are taking over the United Kingdom.
In every town and city. Now that's the most horrific crime, but the biggest stain on British history is that every political figure, every media and every police force knew. It's now come out. So we started our activism in 2009.
And that a lot of that comes because of compartmentalization. When it comes to these systems, the United States government is the same way. When it comes to our law enforcement system, everything's compartmentalized. So everybody only knows so much. It's like a need-to-know basis, and this is how it goes, and especially the most corrupt governments.
We brought it to the country, we brought it to the people. By 2014, I'm sat in jail at the time for my work. 2014, when I'm sat in jail, the Rotherham report is published. And the Rotherham report it's not my report, it's a government investigation that finds that the police knew this was happening. So in this Rotherham report, and I know the family, and I know the dad, and I know the girl. There was one case where two 13-year-old girls were in a house. They're being raped by 6 or 7 Muslim men.
Again, warning, this is graphic content. We're breaking down Tommy Robinson's statement on the Islamic invasion of the UK. Some of the things he might say obviously may be a little graphic or triggering even, okay? So just be mature.
The two children's dads get together and they go to the house to get their daughters back. The police turned up, they arrested the dads. They took the dads away and took them away. Another case, there was an 11 or 12-year-old girl and she's in a derelict property, a rundown property. There's 6 men raping her. The police turned up at the house. They arrested the child for being drunk and disorderly. They arrested the child for being drunk and disorderly. They let the Muslim men go. Literally a green pass was given. Now why? This is the question, why? And the other question is, Muslim men make up 3% of the British population. They're responsible for 90% of the convictions in these groups of men.
That's scary. Again, and it's true. All of that is true.
Rape children. In some of these cases, 11 cousins were involved in raping a girl together. 11 cousins. Brothers and...
Again, this is part of their book, their Quran. This is part of also the Jewish religion as well. They believe the same thing. So I don't know why Tommy Robinson is talking, but all of that is true with the Jews and the Islam. It's very similar with what they believe in regards to the conversations of the age of consent and those things, and kind of how that conversation breaks down into a deeper way. But again, Tommy Robinson, I mean, I don't really trust him as far as I can throw him. But what do you guys think?
Brother-in-laws are raping children together. Fathers and sons are raping children together. This is alien to the entire Western...
Again, he's talking about the Muslims to the people in the UK.
Thought mindset. We have paedophiles, we have our own problems, but we don't have families that are coming together and getting a girl or work colleagues, and that's what was happening because this is so accepted. Why is it accepted? Boko Haram told us when they took 200 Nigerian girls, the leader of Boko Haram translated, it doesn't mean Western education, the real name for that organisation means enforcing the teachings of Muhammad. Now they told us they took...
All of that's true. See, I like when Tommy Robinson is given this message because everything he's saying is true. I mean, when it comes to the Islamic people, this is not a group of people who comes to America with Lee. They don't come here loving the Constitution. They don't come here loving our way of life. And the same thing goes for Britain.
Because Muhammad commanded them to take them. The Yazidi girls were taken. Again, it all comes down to scripture. It all comes down to Sharia. Under Sharia, Muslim men can take non-Muslim women as sexual slaves. It says it clearly 4 times in the Quran. So when you start asking the question, and you've got to ask this question if you want to stop it, if you want to solve it, why is it the Muslim community? Why aren't the Sikhs doing this?
It's also the Jewish community. We know that to be true. It is true. It is happening. Okay, if you don't believe me, just read the Epstein files. I mean, that's just facts. This is actually more of a, the highest levels of power, the highest echelons of power. This is what they do to either control, to blackmail, and then some people just do it willingly. They are willingly a part of this, and those are the most evil. Those are probably the people running things. Okay, so that's a huge problem that we're facing today.
Well, in fact, the Sikhs are victims of this. The Sikh community formed a gang called Sudha Punjab, SP, since the 60s in order to get their girls back. There's been battles and wars fought in Britain by the Sikh community, and then what the Muslims done.
And again, that's all she wrote for that video. But ultimately, that's what's happening when it comes to that issue. And it is a big issue. It is a big deal. It's coming here to the United States. It's happening in Epic City, Texas. It's happening all over the country. It's happening in New York City right now. Okay, we have a Muslim governor, or a Muslim mayor, I mean. Okay, so what do you think all of this means for the country, for the future of New York even? The capital of America is essentially New York City, the financial capital of the world, right? So it's very scary. What's coming for America? Everything that you're seeing in the UK today. And you should be afraid of that. You should be afraid. Okay, let's actually look at some of the videos. We won't actually do that because so many of the videos, again, I can't even show some of these videos that I would want to type in right now to Twitter ads, but if I were, again, I might get banned on YouTube. So type it in. Just type into the search bar on Twitter X, just type in UK and just see what pops up. UK, that's it. All you got to type. And then you tell me what you find. Going on, this was some more statements that were made by J.D. Vance. Dr. Oz joined him in this, where they talked a little bit about this issue, and let's hear what he has to say.
Adjudicated numbers. There's a fraud scheme in Minnesota where criminals, soon to be criminals, pay moms $1,000 roughly in order to enroll their children as being autistic, falsely, dishonestly claiming their children are autistic. They then bill Medicaid.
Crazy.
This already happened. Millions of dollars for services that were never rendered, never delivered by a qualified staff member.
Again, this is in Minneapolis.
These schemes disproportionately involve immigrant communities. They're insulated. They're able to organize efforts, and sometimes they don't understand what's going on. And it ultimately diverts resources away from kids who truly have autism. Because if every kid in the neighborhood has autism, then nobody has autism in terms of how you can manage them. There was one behavioral, and by the way, these kids, they carry that diagnosis of autism the rest of their life.
Total fraud. And it's happening everywhere. It's not just happening in Minneapolis.
Their mom made a bad decision. The kid pays the price for the rest of their life. There's one behavioral health organization, Mr. Vice President.
When you watch all of this, it really just goes to show that the entire United States economy is a government welfare system. This is a welfare state. And this is really what we've become. This is a third world nation now, the United States, and doesn't need to be this way. But now we are a welfare state. And so we have the greatest appeal system, right? Professional tobacco lobbyist Nick Naylor, he once said the same thing. America's the greatest country, so to speak, even though he knows that that's not a correctly structured question. The professional tobacco lobbyist Nick Naylor once said the same thing, is that America has so-called the greatest system because of our appeals system, how we appeal to everybody and appeal to everything, legally speaking even, literally. So this is the real issue that we're having with the United States today.
In Minnesota.
Total fraud, and it's being exploited by especially the foreign immigrants, the people who are just being allowed in here by these Democrats and these rhino Republicans, these Israel First Republicans.
They received $11.5 million in Medicaid payments, but the top biller submitted 450 days where they claimed they were working more than 24 hours a day. I mean, even in the White House, that's tough. It's hard to work more than 24 hours a day. How it didn't get picked up is shocking to us at CMS. There are other red flags in Minnesota, including hundreds of beneficiaries receiving treatment linked to one location, which was impossible physically to be true. We had 8 beneficiaries in one of these substance use disorder centers, 8 who were...
That's so wild. Like, where else is this happening? I think this is happening in, again, Detroit, Michigan. Detroit, Michigan, Dearborn, Michigan. I think this is happening in Epic City, Texas. I think this is happening in Los Angeles. I think this is happening in Houston, Austin, Texas. I definitely would be looking at Chicago. I'd be looking at all of these major cities because that's where it's happening. And then especially, I'd narrow down on the blue states because that's where this appears to be happening at record levels. So that's where we need to be looking.
Already dead, but the center was still billing us. Not only did they let the person pass, they kept billing for it. That's the level of average we're talking about. So CMS is done paying and chasing. We don't think jail sentences are the right way out. These criminals flee the country. Many are foreign nationals. Instead, we're launching the largest action against fraud that we've ever taken. The money's not going to ever leave the building again. We're going to start draining the swamp of the crooks that have inhabited it and are defrauding us. There are 3 bold actions. The first, and for many of you maybe the most important, is we're going to, for the first time, take a massive action to defer funds to a state. Let's start with this Medicaid program in Minnesota, which serves pregnant women. Medicaid takes care of our children. 53% of kids are born in the poverty. They're supported through Medicaid. Disadvantaged seniors, individuals with disabilities. It's unponderable that you would take advantage of these precious programs. Yet they're putting it at risk, all of it, by stealing the money.
Who's putting it at risk, though? They never specify who's putting it all at risk. And who's putting it at risk? Ultimately, it is these illegal immigrants, the undocumented immigrants.
And what we're going to do is,
from Somalia particularly, is where they're coming from in the largest numbers.
Identify the scammers, which we have done in Minnesota. We've identified that they've hijacked, in particular, a certain part of the Minnesota Medicaid system. Said differently, and I'll just put the numbers out there, it's going to be $259 million of deferred payments for Medicaid to Minnesota.
$259 million.
To Governor Walz and his team. And that's based on an audit of the last 3 months of 2025.
That's just the last 3 months? That's the last $259 million in the last 3 months. And then they tell you that, oh, well, hey, good for you guys. We can give you guys $2,000 a year and, your tax cuts. Enjoy. It's like, what? It's like, really? Like $259 million. That is insane. That is just obscene.
$250 million is not going to be paid this month to Minnesota for its Medicaid claims. Now that's $250 million of money. That's your money. It's your taxpayer money. And these home and community-based services,
I wonder if people
which, again,
will actually get anything back.
Typically things you would do for your family, but for whatever reason your family's not there to provide them, are very hard to audit. And for that reason, there's been a lot of slippage. The guardrails have not been well maintained, and if you're not serious about the integrity of the program, you'll see these problems happening in your state, which is why Minnesota's not alone, although they're the first to receive this action. These high-growth areas of fraud are difficult to police, so we require the states to take these issues seriously.
Because the police aren't trained on that stuff. The police aren't trained on this. This is, at the end of the day, the FBI isn't even trained on this. Because ultimately what this is that these people are coming into this country. They're signing up for these legal entities, these legal businesses through like LegalZoom, okay? And they're exploiting the entire system in that way. So they're starting 501c3s, 501c4s, super PACs, whatever you want to call it, and they're using that to advantage themselves, right? To send money back home to their own people, to really promote their own political power in our country. They could care less about America. And go watch Nick Shirley's expose. He's got 2 videos on it in Minneapolis where he exposes all of these people. It's about 2.5 hours worth of content. You should go watch it because it tells you everything that you need to know about the crisis happening in not just Minnesota, but the entire country, and how deep this issue goes with fraud.
This $250 million deferment is hopefully going to get on the radar screen for the state of Minnesota and make sure they are responsive to our requests. We did what any honest and patient-focused agency would do. We have notified the state and that we will give them the money, but we're going to hold it and only release it after they propose and act on a comprehensive corrective action plan to solve the problem.
The government's going to hold the money.
If Minnesota fails to clean up the systems, the state will rack up $1 billion of deferred payments this year. Governor Walz has 60 days, sir, to respond to our letter. And if providers and beneficiaries are worried about getting their money and services, please call your governor. These are services the governor has...
Governor Tim Walz shouldn't be called governor. He should be in a gulag. He should just be gulag.
Already paid for. We are just not reimbursing the state. And to make it clear, there is a rainy day fund in Minnesota, so we are very confident that people will not be hurt in Minnesota. This is not a problem with the people of Minnesota. It's a problem with the leadership.
When the government says that there's not a problem, there's a problem.
of Minnesota and other states who do not take Medicaid preservation seriously.
Yes, again, when the government says that there's not a problem, you should know that there is a problem, 100%. Here's a little bit more from J.D. Vance. This was just 1 hour ago. The United States of America is a generous country, and we take care of our own. It's disgraceful that fraudsters out there are taking advantage of programs like Medicaid. That stops today. And again, this was his soundbite on the issue, what he had to say about it.
That we're all in this together. One of the things I love about our country is that we're a generous country. We're a generous people. We take care of our fellow citizens who can't afford medical care because they're down on their luck. We take care of people who can't afford to put food on the table even though they work hard and play by the rules. We recognize that we're all in this together, and part of the reason...
Okay, but like the entire medical industry is a complete fraud. It's a complete scam. I mean, like you go and let's say, God forbid you get cancer, you want to go to the hospital and get cured. Good luck with that. Walter White. I mean, honestly, Breaking Bad style, you're going to be spending nothing but hundreds of thousands of dollars in medical bills. It's like, yeah, great. Love that Medicaid. It's like, who's that really good for? It's like, it's only good for the people who have Social Security. It's only good for the boomers. And it's like, how does that really help the youth of America? And J.D. Vance, it's like, if he wants to be president, he has to appeal to the younger voters of America. Those are the people who are active in politics. The boomers don't care about politics anymore. The boomers who accept Medicaid and have Medicaid, they don't care. And that's just my experience. I mean, as a realtor, as an entrepreneur, the people I talk to, it seems like it's really the younger generation that's struggling, and the younger generation for sure that even cares about these issues. So, huge problem.
Why we have Medicaid, or part of the reason why we have food stamps, part of the reason why we have these programs is we want to make sure that kids who grow up in families not all that different from the family that I grew up in, that they have access to the basic necessities.
Yeah, your Indian family, no offense, but like, come on. Like that, we can't allow somebody to be president who it's like, if they were to take away birthright citizenship, like what would happen to J.D. Vance's wife? Like what if something like that happened? Like we actually have to think critically instead of thinking racially. Like actually what happens if it were ever decided that birthright citizenship is banned? What happens to J.D. Vance's wife and his kids? Oh, we don't know? Yeah, it's kind of a problem. So it's like...
Food, medical care, after-school services when their family needs them, but they're unable to pay. What's happening in Minneapolis, in California, in a number of states all across our country is that the generosity and the good hearts of our fellow Americans are being taken advantage of. We're taking that social contract that says that our American citizens, we take care of one another, and we're allowing a few bad actors to get rich off that generosity of spirit instead of providing the services to the kids who need it. This is disgraceful. It has happened for too long. Far too many people have gotten rich by taking what is the best of the American spirit and getting rich off of it instead of...
J.D. Vance, the people who financed your entire political career, Peter Thiel, are just like those people. So what are you going to do about Peter Thiel, the person who funded your entire political career? What are you going to do about him when that day comes?
Providing services to kids who need it. That is stopping today. We're taking a whole-of-government approach in the Trump administration to take this fraud seriously. What Mehmet Oz and his team at CMS have done is really remarkable, and it's just the first step of our efforts. So without further ado, let me turn it over to Mehmet to say a few words about what he's doing, what his team has
uncovered. Again, we just listened to him already speak, the guy who was just going to talk. Yeah, this was some of his statements, pretty much the same thing here. So, again, what do you guys think about J.D. Vance? What do you guys think about his statements on Iran? Pretty much sounding exactly like Benjamin Netanyahu, stating that we're going to be that Iran is nuclearizing. They're building a nuclear bomb. Yet, Netanyahu's been saying that since, like, the 90s. Like, he's been saying the same thing. And it's like, we're constantly just being told the same thing, the same script, the same story all the time, just so we can be involved in a war that we don't benefit from, that American people pay for, that American soldiers will die for, while Israel benefits and they profit, and their soldiers don't die for that war. They don't fight in that war at all, actually. What's that look like? Well, to me, it looks like America pretty much will end up taking the heat from everybody, China, Russia, every other country, the EU, the United Nations, the World Health Organization, Canada, South America, and all of that entire continent. Yeah, what happens to America? Well, we pretty much go away. if you were to really war game, what happens if we go to a war with Iran and Israel were to be the new superpower, which will happen if we do go to a war with Iran. And Netanyahu is pretty excited about it. He's been making statements about it. He just made a statement last night thanking the American people for it. Again, we have Laura Loomer, who's all hyped up. Again, she's also Jewish. She's very, very excited to bomb Iran, to destroy the American sovereignty, the American power, by, again, getting us into wars that we really shouldn't even be in. Okay, so we have a lot of Michael Saylor news, also crypto news, Bitcoin news. I was looking for a specific video, though. I was looking for a specific video talking more about that. There we go. This is the one I was looking for.
To all my friends in APAC.
So this is Netanyahu. He just released this last night, and he's saying he's thanking all of his friends in APAC for getting us into a war with Iran. Let's watch.
Greetings from Jerusalem. To all my friends in APAC, the first thing I want to say is thank you, APAC. Thank you for standing with Israel. Thank you for standing with the American-Israeli alliance. And thank you.
Oh, just wait, buddy. The next generation, you just wait. We're not going to be bending over to the state of Israel. So you better enjoy the U.S. politicians you got right now.
For standing up for the truth.
It's not the truth.
Now, I know that's not been easy, because over the past 2 years, we've all been subjected to a tsunami of lies, vilifications, vituperations that are reminiscent of the worst anti-Semitic attacks in history.
There's the word. See, that word is, whenever you hear the word anti-Semitism, in my opinion, honestly, you might as well just hear the word money, because that's really what it is about, ultimately. With the entire agenda of the anti-Semitism argument for the Jewish people, they believe that it will gaslight, it will put everybody else in guilt and in check, so to speak, so nobody will say anything, and then Israel can do what they want. They can get all the funding and the money they want. And then they can go to war with whoever they want. And if you disagree with it, you're just called an anti-Semite. So that's the world we live in. And American politicians just say, okay, yes, sir. Thank you, Prime Minister Netanyahu. We will be sure to stick to that script. And I'll be expecting my $7,000 check tomorrow. And that's what's happening with our entire Congress. So this is the face of a man who, ambitious, that's a great leader right there, though. In 100 years, this man is going to be revered, and whether we like it or not. These are the men who lived throughout history. This is a Napoleon right here. This is an Alexander the Great. Again, not saying that these people, and he's definitely not great, but I'm saying that these are the individuals, the audacity, or as the Jews like to say, the chutzpah, to come at Amalek or America, right? And so total confidence. And why? Because all of our Congress are bought and purchased or blackmailed.
You and AIPAC have been suffering such attacks. The American Jewish community and other Jewish communities have suffered not only anti-Semitic slurs, but also murderous attacks. And of course, so did we in Israel. We suffered on October 7th a brutal attack that was meant to destroy us, to wipe Israel off the map. That's what the Iran
October 7th was an Israeli setup, and there are even rabbis who have said that now. There are people who work for Mossad who have been bragging about it. Those videos are circulating across X everywhere. So we already know that to be true. October 7th is always the script that they return to when they're talking about this specific issue. So it always comes back to October 7th because this was their catalyst, their reason, their excuse to go and pretty much ethnically cleanse the land of Palestine, to erase and wipe out the entire land. And now they'll do the same thing for every other country because what they're setting now is precedent.
Sought to do on October 7th. Iran's proxies sought and seek to annihilate the Jewish people, and their patron Iran sought and seeks to annihilate the Jewish state.
Not true.
But for the past 2 years, since October 7th, we've rolled them back. We fought a seven-front war.
Has rolled them back. America has done it for you because you forced America's hand into this war. You've done nothing, Netanyahu. You and the state of Israel have done nothing except push this war verbally and with your rhetoric, and then America has sat by and supported the entire thing. And the taxpayers of America unwillingly, unwantingly, have also been a part of that. That's actually how things are going down.
Against this axis of evil. And thanks to the incredible courage of our soldiers, we rolled back this threat to our existence and to our future. We battered Hamas, we hammered Hezbollah, we helped bring down the murderous Assad regime,
Hamas and Hezbollah.
We struck the Houthis, we attacked pro-Iranian militias, And we also attacked Iran itself. With America's help, we rolled back Iran's nuclear bomb program and its ballistic missile threat. That axis has been greatly weakened, but it's still there. It's licking its wounds. It still chants, death to America, death to Israel.
Everything he's saying that Iran is saying is what Israel says about America.
I appreciate the efforts that President Trump is making to ensure that those threats against both our countries do not reappear. We have never had a greater friend in the White House than President Donald J. Trump.
Yeah, because Trump is Jewish.
And I want to tell you that I value the support of Americans from both sides of the aisle. I know it's been difficult for some, and I respect your courage, your honesty, the fact that you're willing to stand up against colleagues who sometimes bow their head to this anti-Semitism. You do not.
There's that word again.
I salute you. Great.
That is the word to get what they want, to get whatever they want. Anti-Semitism, just like racism and COVID-19. During COVID-19, the key word used was racism. Now it's anti-Semitism. And it will be a new word in another 2 years, in another 3 years, whatever. There will always be a new terminology to replace the censorship Trojan horse. Okay? And again, it was racism. People don't want to be called racist, right? So people shut the fuck up. They don't say what they mean. They don't say what they feel at all because they don't want to be called a racist. Even if they believe those things to be true, even if they know certain things to be true, they won't say those things because, again, you can't in today's society because you'll be scorned and you'll be labeled as this terrible thing, right? Another thing they'll call people today, it was racism. Now it's an anti-Semite, or it's also a bigot, is another word, to shut people up, to get people to stop talking, to really vilify people, right? And it's always these terms. So whenever you hear anti-Semitism today, it's very sad, by the way, because they're taking the meaning and the strength and the weight of that away of what it actually means, because they're abusing it for power. They're abusing the term for power, and that's simply what's happening. And so it's like when you do that, you're completely destroying the entire relevance of what it actually is to be anti-Semitic. You know, I'm not an anti-Semite. That would mean that I actually don't believe in the Jewish people. You know, I actually root for everybody in humanity, right? If I was an anti-Semite, I wouldn't be a Christian. I'm a Christian. I give my heart and soul to Jesus Christ. If I was an anti-Semite, I would never be able to say those things. Okay, ultimately, the truth of the matter is the Jewish people are lost. They forget that the Messiah died for our sins. And when he did, he rose again 3 days later. That was the coming of the Messiah. See, the difference between Judaism and Christianity is that Judaism believes that the Messiah has not arrived yet. And they believe that the Old Testament is still today. And so their rabbis, through the ages, have interpreted the text in what they want it to believe. And so up to this point, it has become the arguments and the proxies and Trojan horses of, getting us into more war, to profit from war. And they use this from a biblical leverage point. And that's really what it is all about. That's kind of the strategy. So going on, again, Alex Jones is still out. He's still talking. He's still dropping information on the Israeli government, ran Epstein's security/camera system at his New York command base, confirming he was a foreign intelligence asset working for Israel. You guys can go check out that video. I like this guy. He's a former FBI. Kyle Seraphin. He's pretty great. Listen to his analysis when you get a chance. Again, just one more time, I just loved this video, but I wanted to play it. I love a little bit of, I'm not a big fan of anime, but I do like a little bit of propaganda. I like some good psyops. So let's listen to this one more time. I just thought it was great. I just love it. Something about it. It was a great edit. It's supposed to be Trump at the State of the Union last night.
恥を知るべきだこの人たちは狂っている卵の価格は下がっているダウ平均は5万ポイントを超えているこんな負け犬どもの言うことを聞くなアメリカは復活した
I don't even like anime. I'm not even a fan of anime, but I just love that clip so much. I just thought it was great. Some other big news in the crypto markets was that, according to Bull Theory, they ended up posting this. This is insane. Since Jane Street was sued 2 days ago, the 10 a.m. manipulation has stopped. Bitcoin is up 10%, adding $120 billion to its market cap, and the Bitcoin weekly candle has turned green after 5 consecutive red candles. The total crypto market has added nearly $200 billion over the time period. So crypto seems to be coming back after that lawsuit of, again, that was Jane Street, and that company was sued, and now it seems like the crypto market might be coming back, but we're still ultimately waiting on the Clarity Act. Nothing can really happen until the Clarity Act comes into play, right? So looking at the crypto market a little bit here, I just wanted to, again, we always look at the crypto markets. We're up to $68,393 for Bitcoin. We're up to $2,056.14 for Ethereum. $1 for Tether still, obviously, stablecoin. XRP is at $1.43. Binance at $631. Solana at $88. Tron at 28 cents. Dogecoin's at 10 cents. Cardano's hanging at 29 cents. So really in the past 24 hours, the entire market's up 4%. So we're moving back up. We're getting back up there. The market cap, the fear and greed index is still looking pretty much the same as the past few days. The fear and greed index is still hot. It's actually up to 16 now. So it's extreme fear. We're still in that level. But it seems to me that people are coming out of that. We were here a couple days ago. And so now people are getting more comfortable trading. They're getting more comfortable to get back into the market. Again, this is just normal crypto activity. This is what you're going to see when you invest in crypto. This is the way the markets move. This is how things really work. Okay, so with crypto, you're gonna have halving cycles. You're gonna have every 4 years, right? It's typically every 4 years the Bitcoin market goes up. There's a new bull coin that's or a bull coin. There's always a new bull market every 4 years or so, right? So it's something important to remember, rule of thumb. So again, I also want to cover the gold prices right now. Gold prices are at 5,201, silver at $89, platinum at $2,310, and palladium is at $1,819. Futures did well today. And also, wrapping up here, I mean, if you're looking to grow your business, then work with me at Gold Shark Media. We help entrepreneurs with lead generation, SEO, website development, all of those things. Digital marketing, we handle freelancing, whatever it is that your business needs. Consider us your mechanic shop for all things marketing, right? So again, we're familiar with using Upwork, OpenAI, Facebook ads. We know how to integrate Stripe, Mailgun. We pretty much build one entire system so your entire business, your entire online digital business is just automated. We can set it up within 48 hours to 7 days, so be sure to work with me at goldsharkmedia.com. Shoot me a DM. Again, there's also our own software you can use that gives you the ability to essentially, you can have unlimited leads, contacts. You can build your own AI agents, your own AI sales support. You can build your white label software, your own branded portals for clients, performance guarantee with one job or client in 30 days or your money back. I mean, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Okay, our clients are pretty happy with it. And we're growing. We're a growing marketing agency, but we're doing pretty well. And we're out to work with people who want to become great. We want to work with the next best, biggest companies, the Fortune 500s. We want to work with the best. Okay, you want to support Gold Shark Media? You want to support me? You want to support the show? Whatever. Be sure to buy some merch. That would definitely help us. That'll help the show. It'll help you. You'll look better. You'll feel better. And you know what? Maybe you'll even live longer. You know, okay, you won't live longer, but it's still good. Right? Lots of good products here. You want to buy something from the Gold Shark Media store, just hit the merch tab on our website. You want to work with me in real estate? I'm also a real estate agent. I'm also an investor. And so you be sure to go to BrendanEckerRealty.com. Michigan real estate made simple. Buy, sell, and invest with confidence. And again, you will buy, invest, or sell with confidence if you're working with me. Book a private consultation. We'll hop on a Zoom call. We'll figure out what your financial situation is, where you're at in the process of buying real estate or selling real estate, whatever it might be. All the things you're going to need on our call is right here, listed there for you, nice and simple. Just schedule a time, and it's that simple. Then if you want to become a real estate agent yourself, you want to do what I do, you want to make a lot of money, you want to make more money in commissions, sign up at PassREUSA.com. That's PassREUSA.com. Again, that's $99, but you buy it once, you keep it forever. 1,300 practice questions, 40 hours worth of course duration time, 200 plus vocabulary terms and key study acronyms. I created this entire online course specifically for people who want to make more money, for specifically people who want to improve their lives. Okay, there's nothing more important than actually being able to make money, especially during the recessions, right? Again, we have everything here. Look, chapter literally like it's a course. You got everything you could possibly need. Chapter 8, contracts and closing procedures. You got property transfer, ethics and real estate math and financial applications. We have financial comprehensive reviews, all of it. Okay, everything you're going to need on the test. Agency laws and relationships, property ownership and real estate, then real estate law and procedures, everything. 50 states, no matter which state that you live in, you can use this course. You can buy it. You can keep it forever. 5 stars, 95% pass rate with everybody who's been using it. So be sure, passreusa.com, and be sure to message me, shoot me a DM if you are interested in working together. Okay, so ultimately, that's pretty much everything that's going on with the markets today. What do you guys think? What do you guys think about where the future's heading? Where do you guys think about where tomorrow in politics, whatever it might be, where do you think that future's going? I see America having a golden age. I believe we will have the American golden age. I see the awakening of the American people happening. I see overall, people are awakened now. You know, there's no more eyes wide shut. People are asking questions. You see it on Twitter ads. People are commenting. People are making videos, whatever it might be. But people are researching. They're becoming smarter. So ultimately, when America becomes smarter financially, when we become an entrepreneurial country again, when we can innovate, when we can build again, when we can do all of those things, when we can own companies again, when we can go to Mars, we can actually do those things, go places, discover new sciences that were perhaps once hidden from humanity's abilities. Those will be the milestones of the human race which matter in this future of 2026, where we have anything we could pretty much do. There's anything we can accomplish. I just see a lot of potential in the future whether it's crypto, politics, the United States of America, and the entire world. Again, there seems to be some kind of awakening. So overall, we hope that there's no war with Iran. We hope that J.D. Vance, with the power he has, talks to Trump or does something about it, because I don't want to be in a war with Iran. I don't know why we ever should. It does not help America. But that is what this episode was about. Be sure to watch it again. Go back, watch what you need to. But that was today's market. That's today's news. That's today's information. If you do want to study the markets, you want to follow what I have to say about that, then follow me at Brendan Ecker, my original channel, just Brendan Ecker, BrendanEcker, and you'll find all of my stuff on markets, news, AI, and I come live every morning at 11 a.m. on that channel, and then on this channel every night at 7 p.m. So be sure to like, share, subscribe to this. Be sure to share this video. And without further ado, thank you for watching, and stay prudent, stay powerful, stay wealthy.